Hello and welcome to CCC Connect. My name is Tsung and I'm going to introduce the Hakkas in Toronto to you today. Who are the Hakkas? The Hakka-speaking Chinese is a minority in China and it accounts for 4% of the Chinese population. The term Hakka, THHA, means guest family and it reflects on the group propensity to migrate. There are approximately 37 million Hakkas worldwide. They have maintained a strong identity which was slowly formed out of their struggles over centuries by their migratory history and out of necessities in order for them to survive amongst the other ethnic groups in China. The Hakkas have migrated outside mainland China in the early 19th centuries and have settled in countries like India, Jamaica, Mauritius, Trinidad and Tobago, Malaysia, Indonesia, Suriname, and South Africa, to name a few. Today, we are going to meet some of the Hakkas from around the world who now calls Toronto their home. Before I begin, I would also like to acknowledge that the land that I'm standing on today is the traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 signed with the Mississauga of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with the multiple Mississauga and Chippewa bands. I also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people on this land. Hi, today we are going to meet Jennifer, who is from Jamaica. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Tsin.
Jennifer, tell me how long you have been in Canada.
We moved to Canada in 1976.
Where were you born?
I was born in Kingston, Jamaica.
Kingston, Jamaica?
Yes.
Who was the first in your family to move to Jamaica?
My paternal grandfather. He moved to Jamaica in 1937, 38.
And what did he do when he moved to Jamaica?
He had a bakery, and then he went on to open a wholesale distribution center.
Were there lots of Chinese there?
At the time, no. I think the population of Chinese was less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1% of the population of Jamaica at the time.
Are they all Hakkas?
Mostly Hakka. Mostly Hakka. Over the years, we've had migration of other types of Chinese, but in the beginning, they were mostly Hakka.
So, is there any other Chinese apart from Hakka in Jamaica?
I think there were a few. I'm not sure, but I've been told that there were Cantonese, but they had to speak Hakka because the Hakka were predominant, and all the business people spoke Hakka.
Oh.
So even if they were Cantonese, they learned Hakka.
Did you have a chance to study Chinese in Jamaica?
When I was born, it was in the later parts. The Chinese school had already stopped operating on a daily basis, but I had the opportunity to take Hakka lessons on the weekends only. Friends of mine who were a little bit older, they had the opportunity to go to Hakka school, which was a daily school.
Oh wow!
Like a regular school, yes.
So I guess your grandparents spoke Hakka with you at home?
Yes.
And what kind of Hakka food did you eat in Jamaica?
Pachangai.
Pachangai. Oh,
Junyo.
Okay.
Junyo bath.
Okay.
The stuffed tofu. And then we have a Hakka dish which is like a fusion with Jamaican.
Okay.
So we have a shurimen, that's what they call it. But it's a noodle soup with roast, with barbecue pork, chicken, shrimp, and real egg rolls.
Wow.
So yeah.
That sounds delicious. And what's your favorite Hakka food?
Probably the shurimen, because it's everything in one. It's soup, it's noodles, it's meat, it's vegetables, everything in one.
When you grew up with your grandparents, did they teach you anything very special, or do you remember something from what they have taught you?
Well, you learn a lot of, I think values are the most important. But you know, there are also the proverbs and the naughty things. You know, like I remember my grandmother telling me, if I complained about my brother, I'm one girl with 3 brothers. I used to complain about my brothers. My grandmother used to say, You have one arm, you have one hand, you have 5 fingers, and all 5 fingers are different. So your brothers are not going to be the same as you, you're not going to be the same as your brothers.
So were you treated better than your brothers? You're the princess. You're the little princess. Good for you, good for you. Thank you so much for sharing about your life in Jamaica. And today, Chantal and I are going to show you how to make the deep fried taro ball, Wuyan. For the Wuyan, the taro ball, we need 1 pound of taro. This is the big type taro, and garlic, ginger, black bean sauce, salt, and breadcrumbs, cornstarch, and flour. So we have shredded. This is a shredder. This came from China. It was a gift from my aunt. So you shred approximately 1 pound of taro. And then you're going to add 2 tablespoons of black bean sauce, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of garlic, and 2 tablespoons of ginger, and 2 tablespoons of cooking wine, and 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. We have 1.5 cups of cornstarch. This is the other half. And then we're going to mix it well. So you see the taro will give out its juices. You don't need to add water to it. If you like, you can also reduce the salt by removing the salt, because the black beans have a lot of salt in it themselves. Now this is well mixed. And this is the texture. You should be able to form a ball when you squeeze it. Now is a good time when you're in the kitchen to make something like this. It's good to have good friends and family to help you. So today Chantal is making the balls now that we just mixed. So your oil should not be too hot. It should be on medium high. So you can squeeze it into the ball like this. And make sure your ball is firm so it doesn't break apart in the hot oil. So you can drop it into the hot oil. You see the sizzling? Once it goes into the oil, do not stir it too much, otherwise it will break. Give it a chance to form the crust outside. This is non-vegetarian. It should take between 5 to 7 minutes to cook.
Vegetarian.
Sorry, it's vegetarian. So gently use a long wooden chopstick and slightly move it around. It should not stick together. So to make to fry the taro ball, you don't have to double fry it. So one-time frying is good enough. We always say make it more crunchy when you double fry them. And if you make a big batch, you may want to double fry them to cut your time in cooking. So Chantal, does your family have their own recipe?
Yes, my dad would use stale bread because I guess in his days there was no breadcrumbs, and then ginger, lots of ginger, and the brown bean sauce.
Same thing.
And garlic, yeah.
In India, we usually make it flat, so it's not in a ball shape. So when it's flat, it's more crunchy, and in the ball shape, you can get the exterior texture to be crunchy, and the inside, when you bite in, it'll be very soft. So I guess you guys make the ball.
Yes.
So by the way, this recipe is shared by the Mauritian friend of ours, and it's printed in our commemorative book. So when you move the taro balls around, you could almost hear the crunch, and when it started to float, you know that it's cooked. So now, Chantal, can you take this out?
turn the heat off.
Hi, and today we're going to meet someone very special from Mauritius, Chantal.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for coming and to share some of your family history in Mauritius. Can you tell me how many years ago did your family or your ancestor move to Mauritius?
My maternal grandfather came from Guangdong in 1884. He was 24 years old. My father came from Guangdong in 1936. He was 19 years old.
And when did you move to Canada?
1975.
Wow.
From Mauritius.
From Mauritius.
Mauritius.
What did your ancestor do in Mauritius?
They were mostly traders, farmers, and cooks.
Were there lots of Chinese Hakka?
There is 2% Chinese in Mauritius, and that represents 25,500 people. And they are, of these 2%, 90% of them is Hakka. And the population there is 1.2 million.
Were there any other Chinese apart from Hakka in Mauritius?
Yeah, there were a few Hokkienese, Fukienese, and Cantonese.
Do you interact with them?
Yeah, I guess we didn't really know whether they were Cantonese or not, or other groups, because we all speak Creole.
Oh, so you guys spoke Creole?
Yes.
Do you have a chance to speak Hakka?
The local language. My mom is Mauritian born. She learned Hakka after she got married, and my dad worked most of the time away from home, so he would speak to us on his days off. But I would also hear Hakka from neighbors and friends.
Oh, so from neighbors and friends. Do you use them at all at home?
No, I only use the kitchen words.
Kitchen words. Give me an example.
Phung mun chunyo, peo kong, sao mai.
I guess those are the food you eat.
Those are the foods we eat.
Do you cook Hakka food at home?
I do, yes. We cook a lot of Hakka food, and my children love Hakka food.
And what's your favorite Hakka food?
My favorite is the nyong peo kon and banyan.
Oh, so we did that the other day. Yes. And did your father ever give you lessons of life that you carry with you?
Honor your name, study hard, get a good job. Those are the kinds of things he would say.
Oh, he didn't tell you not to shop?
No.
What is so special and different about the Hakkas in Mauritius?
I think what is special is their sense of community and solidarity. They are always willing to help each other to progress in life. For the Hakka who were already established, they helped their family or clansmen. They provided financial help, employment, and room and board. In turn, these new Hakka work and save their money to be able to open their own shops and be more independent.
When you say shops in Mauritius, what do they sell in that shops?
Most of them had, at the time, they were retail shops. Grocery shops.
You sell it to the Chinese or the local?
In the grocery stores, you sell it to everybody, but mostly the locals, the Indians from India, who came as indentured laborers, and the local people who we call the Creole. And the Chinese had to learn Creole to be able to do business, and those who had shops in the rural areas had to learn Bhojpuri to be able to do business with the Indian people.
What do they sell in that shop?
Brooms, milk, rice, all the food stuff, lentils, dal, school supplies. It was like, I guess you could find pretty well everything in your Chinese grocery store, so which we call La Boutique in Mauritius.
Oh, La Boutique. So I guess you all speak French.
We all speak French, yes.
Is that your second language or first language?
That would be Creole is my first language, then French and English.
And Hakka is your fourth?
Yes.
So Any of your children speak Hakka now?
No, they don't.
So I guess this is why you get involved to continue promoting the Hakka culture.
We try.
Good. At least you cook Hakka food then.
Yes.
That's very good. Thank you so much for coming today.
No, thank you. You're welcome.
So what is the Hakka Sanko? So this is what can be translated literally as the Song of the Mountains. And in the olden days, young women and men who worked in the fields entertained each other. They lived among the hills, in the counties where the Hakka lived. So they would entertain each other from one hill to the other, singing verses, and they were very funny, witty verses, singing about love. Normally it would be a pair or a couple of lovers, they would sort of tease each other from one hill to the other, and they were many times based on the first verse, because they many times frequently rhymed, and they would sort of begin from the first verse and make a lot of witty remarks and repartees to each other. And so I guess that it became the tradition in those hills.
Oh hey, 我從山歌啊，流記流電來喲嘿。山歌一衝啊，洛陽啊，陽愛，俺多阿公阿婆啊，坐滿你同愛，種族大家哦，相互嘅，祝我身體平安。呀찬啊康愛，見到唱嘅前歌呀，橄欖後色闊馬呀內阿妹當地的安照戀愛。阿子那電腦單扎嘅快樂心想神送開口啊難愛，這下歌唱嘅，呢個妹唱嘅哦。愛唱山歌就開呀，給我山歌一衝啊，加油喂，對喂，當船是煩惱歌頌嘅煩惱呀呀，對目歌跳吧跳喂。亦都兩行人做嘅，啪啪锵锵愛罵，他們烏叉叉啊，愛妹夏妹，仲愛兩人啊，情誼好哦，飲水老祖。啲媽話咁妹，建議阿妹按笑話用愛，笑起呀你生怒怒啊痛愛，眾人擔到啊。叫人愛喲，阿爸看到啊，也我也歡愛。見到細妹搏嘢哦，細妹要話 阿爸等到啊，也會歡愛。阿爸好像一集啊，留記公愛。等到幾晚啊，就各教會，走地倒來啊，唔少啊痛愛。還有煮菜呀，含實在喲，創到唔好啊，都冇心愛喲。樹枝純粹的有蟲多喏，沙條鋪路有高啊大喲。後來三個就衝開咗。我就原來你阿婆教孫嚟中國嘅，一下教過嘅，都唔係三個。阿婆帶孫嚟啊，帶些年嚟啊。外婆橋，搖到外婆橋，外婆有餅賣，就兩個女一塊，摘。阿公是黃菜到隔壁，阿婆見到死，燒就磨面跟阿 Q 飯呢轉大嘅太皮卵，他說一光燒菜肉，奇葩馬過蓮塘杯中叫菜花。在親家門口一後堂，讓佢立馬擺茶床佢拿來炒椒色，當佢拿來教姑娘，教佢姑娘愛對，比較好似種大師傅，大嘅師傅靚婆婆，那本幾嘅色嚟到哥，那本阿伯色嚟轉田螺殼，就蹲到阿公嘅腳，阿公啱教，阿婆就親頭笑。That's all.
Thank you all for watching the program. I hope you have enjoyed it and learned a few things about the Hakkas in Toronto from all around the world. And if you need more information, please Google and find out who your neighbors are and find out the other Hakka food and restaurants and businesses that are in your area. Thank you so much.